And it is now time for the scripture reading. The scripture reading is taken from the Lamsa translation of the Bible, St. John chapter 3, verses 26 and 27. So they came to John and told him, "Teacher, he who was with you at the Jordan crossing, concerning whom you testified, behold, he is baptizing, and a great many are coming to him." John answered, saying to them, "No man can receive anything of his own will, except it is given to him from heaven." And thus concludes the scripture reading, St. John chapter 3, verses 26 and 27. Good morning again. In this scripture, a disciple of John came to alert him that Jesus was baptizing people, and that the people were going to Jesus instead of going to John. In their worldly mind, they thought that perhaps John should be unhappy with the situation, perhaps even envious or even jealous. They thought there was some unfairness, some imbalance. But John knew better. He understood that they were going to Jesus because they saw or they felt something special in Jesus. John also understood that Jesus had a great gift, and that great gift had come directly from God. John was not concerned that no one would come to him, because John knew that it was all in divine order. So John went on to tell his disciples in his own words that he was fine with people going to Jesus to be baptized because that was ordained by God. It was the divine within them leading them to the man Jesus, because they needed the higher consciousness of Jesus at that moment in time. In divine metaphysics, John signifies a high intellectual perception of truth. John has not yet quickened his spirit, but he perceives truth. He sees and he understands the mechanics of truth, but he has not yet embodied them. Once we cross the River Jordan in metaphysics, we're in the promised land, and we have arrived to that place of truth and pure knowing and consciousness. John and his disciples have gone to the Jordan crossing, but they have not yet crossed it. And there are a lot of Johns among us. We understand the mechanics of truth, but we don't always embody them, at least not consistently. John is a work in progress, and so are we. John understands a universal truth. Whatever comes our way is a gift from God. Whatever comes our way comes from Source, God, or the universe. When we talk about the gifts that come from God, we talk about abundance, right? And there's indeed an infinite abundance in the universe. Often, when we think about abundance and prosperity, what comes to your mind, the first thing that comes to your mind is perhaps a nice house or two. I imagine mine to be a nice big house by a beach somewhere. Or we think of cars. Mine happens to be red and goes very fast. And then a lot of cash to buy whatever we want, to buy whatever crosses our mind. But abundance is much more than that. All the gifts that come from God, and just much more than the material thing. Abundance is also the amazing things that come from nature, that are given to us by the earth. The water we drink, the water that flows incessantly, the food that grows from the earth, and the food that ends in our plate. Abundance is all the opportunities that we have that we are given to have new experiences that makes us grow and makes us who we are. Abundance is the people that are in our lives. Those people that give us love, peace, and those people that shape our learning. Those people that taught us great things, or actually even hard lessons. Abundance is also the opportunities that we have in our lives to meet new people, allowing us to continue growing and enjoying life. Abundance is the joy that we receive through circumstances, situation, and people. Abundance is the flow of information that we have received that are available from many different sources so that we can continue learning, growing, and get more joy. All of it is made by the creative force in the universe. And some of it is being manifested by the earth, and some of it is manifested by the creative minds that reside within ourselves. The gifts that come from Source can be amazing things that we have, but they can also be the challenges that we face in life. Those challenges that help us grow and veer our life in the right direction. That direction that is more aligned with our soul's desired life path. Some could be economic challenges, losing our job. Losing a job can be a big blow, but it can force us to reinvent ourselves, to pivot. One door that closes allows another door to open. People leaving our lives also allow other people to come into our lives, so the cycle of abundance can continue. Just like the natural flow of nature that we had in meditation, there's a natural flow of abundance in our lives. The laws of the material world have taught us that there's scarcity. And it's shown to us that people are losing their jobs right now, that there's no food. It has shifted our natural perception of goodness of the universe. There's no scarcity in the universe. The universe doesn't hoard. Everything flows. The water that's in the ocean evaporates into the clouds into the rain. It goes back into the crops. And everything gives us the water to drink. It flows back into the river. The cycle just continues. Nature shows that scarcity is not made by God, but rather by man. It's the way it's distributed. We are not made of man, we're made of God, the energy of God. And with our power of creation, if we accept that there's scarcity, we will face scarcity. We create our own reality with the power of our thoughts. We attract what we think. And we attract what we think with the law of attraction. If we lose our job or source of income, we don't have to be too concerned that it's going to be forever. Because if we allow it, something else will be coming. We are made of the essence of God, the life force that flows into the universe, feeding everything, flows into our being. We have to train ourselves to see the glass half full. Reverend Jackson's words keep resonating in my head. Those words are, no man, no one can take away what is given by God unless God has something better in the works for you. Isn't that great? As I said earlier, people are in our lives because they're a source of abundance also. There's no scarcity. There's no scarcity in people either. It's all a matter of perception. When people move out of our lives, others are going to come in. I've been living in this area for almost 20 years now. This is a very transient area. People come here, they stay for 2-3 years, maybe a little more, and then they move away, at least most people, especially in the international community. And I used to find this quite challenging. Personally, I don't have hundreds of friends. I have a handful of friends, and my family lives overseas. So when a friend moves away, I always wonder if that spot is going to be filled. But the last time that happened, though, it was a shift. 3 years ago, during the summer, a good friend of mine moved on an overseas assignment for 3 years with a family. And it was not easy. because we used to see each other quite a lot. The children loved each other like cousins, or perhaps even like siblings, because they played and they fought like siblings. So when they moved, I was wondering who was going to be there to hang out with us going forward. Then that year, late August, right after my friend moved, I went to my children's school, and I went to talk to the teacher, as we always do before the year starts. There was another family talking to the teacher, and I could hear a French accent, and I'm like, hey, that's my language. I had to talk to them. And it was a French military family. They were here for 3 years. Our sons were going to be in the same class. And we spoke a few minutes. I introduced myself, and the mom and I really got along. And actually our sons got along too. And it was a great gift for me and for my son. A new friendship had come to fill the perceived void of the friend that had moved away. Now fast forward 3 years. This past summer, my French friend had to move back to France with her family. And my other friend, who had moved on an overseas assignment 3 years ago, was moving back to DC. And guess what? They both moved on July 26th. On July 26th, my French friend moved to Paris, and my friend who was on an overseas assignment moved back to DC. Same day. Not even a day's gap. The universe was there to provide. I was a great gift, or my French friend was a great gift to me, but actually we were a gift to each other. My family, being in a family's life, was perfect for them. I was a good resource for them because I knew the area quite well, and I knew what to do to settle down. I knew where to direct them. And also the woman who came from France was not very comfortable speaking English at first. It was comforting for her to have someone she could speak French to. And the boys, at least one of them, they became friends. My son and her son became friends, and they were in the same basketball team together. So when they moved here, the boys didn't speak a word of English. And the second month of school, there was a field trip to Williamsburg and Jamestown for Virginia Studies, and I was chaperoning. So the boy who wasn't fluent in English, he had just been taught English for a month by then. He was in my group, in the group that I was chaperoning. And I was able to translate for him what the guides were saying to the class. So he could be part of the tour as well. It was just all perfect. That was the mutual exchange between our families. Abundance never stops. It flows. The more positive we remain, the more abundance flows into our lives. If we believe that there's a lack, then the law of attraction is going to bring us a lack. And if we accept that good things always flow from the universe into our lives, then good things always flow in. Remember the water cycle. There's no lack, no need to hoard. Share your gifts as they are gifts from God, because God has given them to you to share also, to share with others. And when you share, more gifts will come in. God always gives. It's a cycle. Abundance is everywhere around us, regardless of what we see in the news. Remember, the sun rises in the morning. It always rises in the morning. And sometimes the night is long, but the sun always rises in the morning. The glass is not half empty. The glass is half full. And while you're at it, if it's half full, it's just being filled up. Many blessings.